We all know that threes have skyrocketed in the past decade. The league average amongst NBA teams is now 37.5 3-point attempts a game, up 15 from the 22 a game teams took 10 years ago in 2014-15. This drastic increase has resulted in mixed reviews, with a sizable portion of fans clamoring about teams just chucking threes and everyone playing the same way. I understand that concern, but I don't think it aligns with reality. Teams may run similar sets and have comparable shot profiles, but how teams generate their shots is different. Let's use the Warriors, Bucks, Cavs, and Heat as examples. All four of those teams take between 40 and 42% of their shots from three. All four of them have stark differences in play style. Golden State gets their threes by dizzying defenses with a constant off-ball movement, split actions, Curry never stopping his movement, or with Draymond carving up 4-on-3 situations that are created by Curry's gravity. Milwaukee lives off of Giannis' dominance as a driver that opens up kickouts to open shooters. Cleveland's guards, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, are both constant threats to fire pull-up threes out of pick and roll. Miami often runs through Bam as the DHO hub to free up shooters. There's plenty of ways to play, but you get my point. While teams are taking far less mid-rangers than they used to in exchange for more threes, this idea that the mid-range is totally dead is also misguided. You know what the real difference is? That pin down for Rip Hamilton that used to have him curl off for an elbow jumper would now just be him extending that out to the wing for a three instead. That pick and pop for LaMarcus Aldridge at the free throw line, or to Kevin Garnett for a super deep two, would now just be a top of the key three. The catch and shoot guy pump faking and dribbling inside for a mid-range pull-up is now just a step to the side to make sure you still get a three off. The short corner baseline jumper is now just a spot up in the corner. Kobe Bryant going to work from right inside the arc would just be moved a couple feet back, but his moves and his footwork would look similar. Teams start their pick and rolls higher up on the floor, giving guards the chance to pull up into a more efficient three rather than an elbow jumper. But that's not a wildly different playstyle than your 90s point guard. It's just a couple feet further back. What's really dead are the super long twos right inside the arc, and then subpar shooters being empowered to take mid-rangers. With stars like Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Kawhi Leonard, and DeMar DeRozan going to work in the mid-post, getting to their spots, utilizing their pristine footwork, and nailing tough fadeaway jumpers will never be dead. And just because mid-rangers are typically the least efficient shot, it doesn't automatically make them a bad one. 99% of players can't expect to live on that being your primary shot diet, but they are a necessary tool to have in your arsenal. When plays break down and the shot clock is winding down, a comfortable mid-range J is better than a forced smothered three. The same goes for end-of-game situations. When you're in a tie game or you're down by one, it's time to just get whatever shot you can get to. Either way, having a strictly threes or layups profile isn't realistic, especially against locked-in, elite playoff defenses that know your tendency and will be able to run you off the line and shut off the rim sometimes. Having that in-between game as a counter will always be critical. Defenses being so worried about taking away threes actually helps these mid-range shots become more efficient. This complaint that everyone plays the same also doesn't make sense when you see all sorts of players taking on different roles nowadays. Players aren't confined into narrow positional roles based on their size. Someone like the 6'4 Bruce Brown can thrive as a screen-setting role man, rather than being forced into a point guard role that doesn't complement his skill set. Likewise, point guards don't have to be the traditional floor general table setter. Instead, your star wing can initiate the offense and run pick and rolls, while that point guard plays more of an off-ball 3-and-D role like Patrick Beverley. Big men don't have to be back to the basket threats or just strictly screen and roll all day long. It's not uncommon to see Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell setting screens for Evan Mobley. We see Karl Anthony Towns spaced on the perimeter while Jalen Brunson goes to work in the post. And the same goes for defense. Teams cross-match all the time instead of just throwing their point guard on the other team's opposing point guard. Players fulfill whatever role suits what teams think they can bring to the table instead of just forcing them into this hole that we think they should be in. This is really the ultimate era of versatility. Feels like the Boston Celtics reignited this conversation. They already led the league last year with over 42 3-point attempts a game, but they've really cranked it up this year to become the first team to crack the 50 threshold. I think a lot of the concern is overblown by box score watchers though. You can check the Celtics stat line, see that they attempted 55 or 63s, and wonder if the NBA has gone too far. But when you watch Boston play, they're not just senselessly chucking threes. They're consistently generating quality looks by breaking down defenses. People complain about the number they're taking getting too high, but it's not like this is an easy replicable team. If everyone could just magically acquire 5 starters that can all shoot on high volume and efficiency, attack closeouts, and make the next pass off dribble, they would. Pretending like every team plays like the Celtics just isn't based in fact. Now, teams do need to get up a baseline level of threes to keep up, but there are many ways to succeed offensively in today's NBA. If you look at the top-ranked teams in offensive rating, amongst the top 10, only half of them are top 10 in three-point attempts a game. The Knicks are first despite being in the bottom half of attempts. Dallas is fourth despite being in the 20s. Denver is sixth in offense despite being dead last in threes. No team just chucks a bunch of threes and automatically elevates themselves to an elite offense. I can understand the frustration fans have when opponents just hit 25 threes and there's nothing you can really do to overcome that. But I can't buy that the game is less aesthetically pleasing than it used to be. I'd implore people to go back and watch some of the games 3 decades ago with no spacing and scores in the 70s and say they enjoyed those battles better. Now, of course, I'm not advocating for an all-offense approach. I do think there can be a better balance of offense-defense in today's NBA. Maybe scoring has gotten a little too high, but I don't think drastic rule changes like eliminating the corner 3 or something like that would benefit the league. The real upgrades the NBA can make start with officiating, being less gullible to foul baiting tricks, and giving defenders a chance to reciprocate physicality. Starting there, and then having just less stoppages overall, not these super lengthy reviews and challenges, and broadcasts calming down with the non-stop ads. If the NBA was just more like FIBA in that regard and just focusing on the game and just letting players play, I think we'd be in a great spot. But as far as playstyles go, I'd argue that the NBA is as diverse as ever.